Good morning, everyone. I will open with a chant from the Saraswati Stotra. Om Aim 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 Ishtamantre Kamalapavamukam Bocha Buddhi Swarupe Rupa Rupapakashe Sakala Gunamoye Nirgune Nirvikare Nastule noiva sukshve apyavidita vipave napi vigyana tatve vishve vishvantaratme saravaranamete nishkale nityashuddhe. Om, O Mother, thou reveal both the form and the formless. Thou art the embodiment of all attributes. Thou again art without attributes and change. Thou art neither gross nor subtle, and thy glory is incomprehensible. Thou art beyond knowledge. Thou art everywhere. The inmost self of everything, the object of adoration, even to the chief of gods. Thou art indivisible and eternally pure. Peace, peace, peace be unto us all. In honor of Mother's Day today, our topic is the non-dual face of God the Mother. So what is the non-dual face? What do we mean by that? Is it an oxymoron? No. For the Vedantists, God is both impersonal and personal. The impersonal God rests on the philosophical premise. As the great Advaitin and teacher Shankara posited, Brahman, the absolute existence, knowledge, and bliss, is real. The universe is not real. Brahman and Atman, God transcendent and immanent, are one. As the impersonal reality, God is known as Sat Chit Ananda, existence, knowledge, bliss absolute. The personal God is the door through which the seeker approaches the absolute, the non-dual reality. Christ, the spirit, Buddha, the state of awakening, Krishna, the embodiment of the supreme Brahman. So also God the Mother, even as a Catholic, Julian of Norwich wrote, just as God is truly our Father, so also is God truly our Mother. For her, God as Mother was divine wisdom. In the Hindu Vedanta tradition, each god and goddess has both a personal and an impersonal aspect. And the mantras that pertain to the gods and goddesses show this. The impersonal and personal bijas, seed words of the mantras, show both the personal and the impersonal aspect. The personal God, then, is the highest reading of the absolute by the limited human mind. Now, how does non-dualism manifest? What does it look like to us? Externally, Sri Ramakrishna lives 6 months in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, whereas a normal human being can live only 21 days before the body drops off. And most humans who attain that state need even less time in that state. We understand from historical accounts that Sri Ramakrishna was force-fed by a holy man who came to Dakshineshwar and recognized the state that Sri Ramakrishna was in at the temple compound in Calcutta. From the scientific observations of Dr. Sarkar at the time of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there was no visible pulse in Sri Ramakrishna's body, no feeling of the recipient when his eyeball was touched, Now, the photographs we see of Sri Ramakrishna behind me, him seated. In that photograph, the photographer tried to adjust him. And when he did, the figure elevated like a leaf. What was Sri Ramakrishna's internal realm in that state? It was a metaphysical experience. Another name for illusion is Maya. But this state, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, occurs when the spiritual current lifts to the seventh center of consciousness. The seventh center. First, there is the fourth plane, which is the Anahata chakra, the heart center, where the aspirant sees the individual soul as a flame and sees light. Ah, what is this? The fifth plane is the Vishuddha chakra, the throat center, where the person wants to hear only about God. And the sixth plane is the Agya chakra, the third eye, where one can see God, but there is a barrier, like a glass covering in a lantern. One can't touch the light inside the glass. But the seventh plane is the Sahasrara at the top of the head. Reaching it, it is said the mind merges in Brahman. The individual soul and the Supreme Spirit become one. The aspirant goes into samadhi. One's consciousness of the body disappears. One loses the knowledge of the outer world and does not see the manifold anymore. Reasoning comes to a stop. When Sri Ramakrishna tried to describe to a disciple this experience, he could not. He tried again and again, but every time he went into samadhi. So what is the transformative effect after Nirvikalpa Samadhi? The world appears as an immense mind in which innumerable waves of ideas are rising, surging, and emerging, we are told. Sri Ramakrishna's own body, mind, and eye consciousness, not to speak of others, seem to be but a component wave in that immense mind. Indeed, this very experience forms the basis of one type of meditation on the non-dual. So there are two paths that lead to non-dualism. First is the path of knowledge, jnana. And then there is the path of bhakti. The first is neti neti. The second is iti iti. Both paths acknowledge the unreality of the world. In other words, we don't see this world as it truly is. To the jnani, this world is a dream. For example, it's like a superimposition, the snake on a rope. But when we throw light on the snake, we see that it was actually a rope all this time. So when the dream breaks, we wake up. To the jnani, this world is also a framework of illusion, another state of consciousness, both within the realm of jnana, where matter appears unsubstantial, sunya, like the emptiness of an atom. Another name for illusion is Maya, that which measures the immeasurable, literally. That is the definition of Maya. But this Maya can't exist without Brahman. To the Vedantin, Maya rests on punya, fullness, the background consciousness. Brahman can exist without Maya, but Maya cannot exist without Brahman. So what is a jnani's perception? Sri Ramakrishna, the greatest of all Gyanis, described his body as a mere pillowcase. To the bhakta, the devotee, there's the realization of this world as a mansion of mirth. Sri Ramakrishna, who also had this realization, said, this world is no doubt a framework of illusion, unreal as a dream. One feels that way when one discriminates, following the process of neti, not this, not this. But after the vision of God, this very world becomes a mansion of mirth. Swami Brahmananda, disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, said, there are times when no matter where I look, I see only God wearing many masks. Who am I, the teacher? Who is to be taught? How can God teach God? When Swami Vivekananda was at Camp Taylor in Northern California, he had yet another vision. One day after meditation in Miss Bell's tent, Miss Bell said to him, this world is an old schoolhouse where we come to learn our lessons. Swami Vivekananda said, who told you that? Miss Bell, she couldn't remember. Swami Vivekananda said, well, I don't think so. I think this world is a circus ring in which we are the clowns tumbling. Miss Bell asked, why do we tumble, Swami? Vivekananda said, because we like to tumble. When we get tired, we will quit. Swami Vivekananda saw men and women not as Maya's captives, inching painfully toward freedom, but as God himself playing at joy and misery for the sheer fun of it. So the practice is a divine play. Sri Ramakrishna said, there is a sadhu in Rishikesh who gets up early in the morning and stands near a great waterfall. He looks at it the whole day and says to God, ah, you have done well. Well done. How amazing. He doesn't practice any other form of japa or austerity. At night, he simply returns to his hut. The Jnani's path of negation is that he tries or she tries to understand the nature of reality, the world, and the self through rigorous self-analysis. Who am I? The aspirant seeks the source of one's own consciousness, the I amness, that which exists in the past, the present, and the future, and negates what is finite, the attributes of the non-self, what is perceived as impermanent, our body, our mind, our ego. They change, they live, they grow, they die. Eventually, what is left is what is real, the infinite self. The Jnani understands the ultimate goal from the start and consciously moves toward it each day. Now, the bhakta's path is that of affirmation. He or she experiences the impermanence of this world, yes. God is the creator of the world. The creation is related to God. The creatures are part of God. And God dwells within all. The bhakta is not fully aware of the goal, but eventually can reach the one without a second. He or she experiences the divine form. In the early stages, a devotee can't visualize the whole form. Sometimes the hands or the feet, sometimes only the face. But as one's meditation deepens, the form remains steady before the mind's eye in meditation. With deeper meditation, the divine form moves, smiles, speaks, and one feels the touch. One feels the form of God alive in all respects, with the eyes open or closed. The devotee sees the vision of various forms emanating from one's chosen ideal. Such forms are seen in the realm of ideas, what is called the cosmic mind, as real as the waking state. Swami Sardananda described, the more the devotee feels that the external world and the realm of ideas are both real, the more deeply he or she realizes that the external world is the projection of the mind. So this mirror of the mind, when wiped clean, becomes a lens that is purified so one sees with divine sight. In Salvikalpa Samadhi, during deep meditation, the devotee so intensely experiences the realm of ideas that he or she does not have the slightest knowledge of the external world. Although during this samadhi, concentration has banished the external world from the devotee's mind, the realm of ideas remains. So what does this mean? It's exemplified in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Sri Ramakrishna was the priest at the Kali temple when he was 20 years old, and his method of worship was unique. He sang to Mother Kali so sweetly, passionately, self-forgetful. In worship, tears flowed from his eyes. He had a purified body, and he saw mantras written on his body in bright colors. Onlookers such as Rani Rajmani, the temple founder, saw his body become luminous. He disappeared for long periods in the Panchavati to meditate on the divine Mother Kali. And he underwent strenuous disciplines. To transcend shame, for example, he entered the jungle to meditate alone, naked. To destroy the sense of caste, he cleaned latrines with his own hands. To overcome greed, he discriminated between coins and clods of dirt in either hand, and then threw them both into the Ganges. To make firm the knowledge of God that dwells within all, he ate the prasad from beggars. To Fritoy he said, one should meditate by becoming free from the 8 fetters: shame, hatred, fear, pride of good conduct, family, status, fame, pride of caste, and ego. He set the bar. He exhibited intense devotion. He meditated during worship for 2 hours without moving. And the food offering would last a long time. He lost track of time during arati, and his appetite and need for sleep diminished. His chest would turn crimson, and blood flowed continually to the heart and head centers. Finally, he wept in agony at the separation he felt from the mother, that he finally reached for Mother Kali's sword to end his life. And at that time, Sri Ramakrishna had his first vision of Mother. The vision, it was the non-dual face of God the Mother. What was that experience? He described, it was as if houses, doors, temples, and all other things vanished altogether, as if there was nothing anywhere. And what I saw was a boundless, infinite conscious sea of light. However far and in whatever direction I looked, I found a continuous succession of effulgent waves coming forward, raging and storming from all sides with a great speed. Very soon they fell on me and made me sink into the unknown bottom. I panted, struggled, and fell unconscious. What was the aftermath of this experience? It was an incessant urge by Sri Ramakrishna for her uninterrupted vision. Sri Ramakrishna explained, I scarcely realized the presence of people around me. They looked more like shadows or painted pictures than real objects. And so I did not feel any shame or embarrassment at all. It shows the unreality of the world that he was experiencing. He went on, sometimes I would lose outer consciousness from that unbearable agony. Immediately after that, I would see the mother's luminous form bestowing boons and fearlessness. I used to see her smiling, talking, consoling, or teaching me in various ways. So how does this differ from nirvikalpa samadhi? It's an impersonal type of experience with a loss of body consciousness. And the after effect is seeing the shadow-like quality of this world as a framework of illusion. His personal experience, Sri Ramakrishna explained. Afterwards, what happened in the external world, or how that day and the next passed, I don't know. But within me, there was a steady flow of undiluted bliss that I had never before experienced, and I felt the immediate presence of the Divine Mother. The impersonal aspect of the Mother is a non-dual face. For example, Swami Brahmananda said, the presence of God must be realized everywhere. That which is personal and has form is also impersonal and without form, and dwells in all beings, pervades land and water, hills and valleys, sky and stars, and pervades all things. Swami Turiyananda founded Shanti Ashram, and he took a band of Western students out there to live sadhu-like lives. In the afternoon, all the students went for a walk with Swami Turiyananda. They ascended a hill and sat on the ground under pine trees. And Swami shared with them, Mother is very proud and very pure. She wears a heavy veil that none may lift except her children. When they look behind the veil, she is happy and smiles. A young student asked, what is Mother and where is she? The Swami answered, she is everything and everywhere. She permeates nature. She is nature, but talk won't do. You must lift the veil. Student asked, how, Swami? And the Swami answered, meditate, meditate, meditate. You are frittering away your life. Think deeply, pray to Mother, go beneath the semblance of things and see the one reality in all. So she is the veil, and she is what is beneath the veil. This is the non-dual phase of God the Mother. The direct disciples gave insightful commentaries about Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Saradananda said, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which comes later in sadhana, was his enlightenment. His other experiences beforehand were preliminary to this. Some disagreed. Some feel that the avatar knows his birth, knows his nature from his birth, and through sadhana fulfills the scriptures. Swami Ramakrishna said, the first vision of Mother was Sri Ramakrishna's enlightenment. His Nirvikalpa Samadhi was another type of experience. So spiritual experience is not just a vertical ladder. Christ said in John 14:2, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. Sri Ramakrishna said, God is like an aristocrat who has many mansions. Here, referring to himself, is one of his drawing rooms. So these mansions are many states of consciousness. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not the be-all and end-all of spiritual life. Swami Brahmananda said, you must attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where all consciousness of duality is obliterated. Some say that state is the end of spiritual experiences, but I believe it is the beginning. Sri Ramakrishna's vast spiritual experiences explained the non-dual aspect, the face of Mother. It was not Shankara's snake and rope, this world illusion being the snake, being mistaken for the reality, the rope. Instead, Sri Ramakrishna's example is the snake at rest is Maya, and the snake wriggling is the divine Shakti, the power of Brahman. Like fire and its power to burn. He was issued the command, remain in Bhavamukha. And what did that mean? Sri Ramakrishna's eye consciousness vacillated between the Nitya, the highest, and the Lila, the divine play. In the Nitya, the I disappeared. And in the Lila, the I consciousness and that of other beings formed waves in the cosmic mind, which is the Divine Mother. One without a second is divided. Nirguna is attributeless, and Saguna is with attributes. Sri Ramakrishna saw this cosmic I-ness pervades everything, whereas an ordinary being sees only this material world. He said, it is said, when the master's eye consciousness became slightly manifest, he saw the Saguna cosmic eye and its waves of ideas to be connected with the Divine Mother's Nirguna aspect. This we can read in Sri Ramakrishna, the great master. Sardananda went on, put another way, as soon as the master ascended to the Nirguna state, his experience of the difference in itself dissolved in the one without a second. And when he experienced the Saguna, cosmic eye, he saw that what is Brahman is Shakti. What is Nirguna is also Saguna. What is Purusha is also the Prakriti. The same snake is both motionless and moving. Sri Ramakrishna said, look at all these eyes we express, but it's best to ripen the eye. In other words, I am a child of God. I am the parent of God. I am the friend of God. And so on and so on. Another dimension to the non-dual face of God the Mother is unitary consciousness. Sri Sarada Devi asked Sri Ramakrishna, how do you look on me? And Sri Ramakrishna said, the mother who was worshipped in the temple and the mother who gave birth to this body and is now living in the Nahabat, the same mother is now stroking my feet. Really and truly, I regard you as the embodiment of the blissful mother of the universe. Profound experience. The difference between Vedanta and Tantra is this. The non-dual Vedanta uses Brahman as the rope, that analogy, and the world as the snake. Whereas in the non-dual Tantra, there is Shakti. Brahman at rest is the snake, and the world is pulsating with pure consciousness, and that is the snake wriggling. Now, there are differences in levels of consciousness, and there is a difference between the state of jnana and the state of vijnana. Totapuri was Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta guru. He came from the northwest India, near Kurukshetra, and he became a Jivan Mukti after 40 years of sadhana. He roamed freely, unconfined to one place for more than 3 days. His attraction was to Sri Ramakrishna, and he stayed in Dakshineshwar for 11 months. He had sadhu qualities: enthusiasm, self-effort, self-reliance, self-confidence. He couldn't imagine that intense spiritual effort would not bear fruit. He didn't accept bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. Iti, it is this, it is this. And he ridiculed Sri Ramakrishna's chanting the names of the gods, of the various aspects of God, clapping his hands. And he would say, "Are you clapping your hands to make chapatis?" He would build a sacred duni fire and sit before it at night. And he would talk of Brahman and all the objects and beings as manifestation. One time, a servant began to take a lighted charcoal for his pipe, and Totapuri threw into a rage. At that point, Sri Ramakrishna laughed in ecstasy. "For shame, I see the depth of your knowledge of Brahman." He used to say, "Brahman weeps ensnared in the meshes of Maya." Totapuri became humble and serious and vowed never to become angry again. If Brahman is everywhere, Brahman was also in that pipe and in the servant who tried to light his pipe. Finally, Totapuri was stricken with blood dysentery. His mind couldn't become absorbed in meditation because of the excruciating pain from the dysentery. Finally, he became disgusted and said, "I'm not the body. Why associate it with any longer?" His mind fixed on Brahman, he waded out into the Ganges. And Totapuri crossed almost to the other side, but there was no depth of water to drown himself. And Totapuri exclaimed, "What is this divine Maya? What a mysterious play of the Lord." And immediately, as if someone within him lifted a veil covering his mind, he had a dazzling sense of enlightenment. He explained the omnipresent divine mother, cosmic mother, omnipotent mother. Mother is in the water and land. Mother is the body and the mind. Mother is illness and health. Mother is knowledge and ignorance. Mother is life and death. Whatever I see, think, and imagine is mother. She turns yes into no and no into yes. No embodied being can go beyond her jurisdiction unless she is pleased to release him. And no one has even the power to die. Again, the same is beyond the body, mind, and intellect, transcendent and devoid of attributes. This was his realization. All his life, he was worshiping Mother as Brahman. Brahman and the power of Brahman, he realized, were identical. In the remaining night, he spent in meditating upon and chanting the glories of the Divine Mother. Bliss radiated from his face, and his illness that had acted as a friend was then gone. Now, up until now, we have explored the vision of God the Mother in her impersonal aspect. But what about Sri Sarada Devi, the living Divine Mother herself? What about her internal realm as the embodiment of the non-dual Advaita? What was her non-dual face? She was selected by Sri Ramakrishna as his consort, the Divine Mother, and therefore she knew everything. As God herself, she had the knowledge of Advaita. And we pray to the Divine Mother to open the door to the non-dual realm. But did she experience Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the non-dual realm? We know from the observations of Golap Ma and Yogin Ma, her attendants, that at times Mother entered Samadhi with no outer consciousness whatsoever. We even know she referred to her own experience of Advaita. Once Vivekananda went to Mother and told her he wanted to go back to that Nirvikalpa state which Sri Ramakrishna had given him, but had said to him, "You cannot return to that until you have finished your work." Sarada Devi said to him, "Just don't forget me." Vivekananda said, "Mother, the knowledge that takes away the awareness of the Guru's feet is no knowledge at all. That is ignorance itself." Then after Vivekananda left, Mother said to others, "Actually, there is a state where Guru, disciple, God, everything disappears and there is no differentiation whatsoever." She was speaking of the Advaitic state. Then how did Sri Sarada Devi express her Advaita? Swami Aparupananda, in one talk he gave for our Vedanta Center, referred to Janaka's non-dual realization in the Ashtavakra Samhita in verse 225, which relates beautifully to Mother's own realization and how she perceived and related to everyone and everything in the world around her. Mayananta Mahabodha Vascharyam Jiva Vichaya Udyanti Gyanti Kelanti Ravishanti Swabhavataha. How wonderful! In me, the shoreless ocean of pure consciousness, the waves of individual selves according to their nature arise, strike each other, play for a time, and then dissolve back into the ocean of consciousness. Mother experienced the ocean of pure consciousness, which she was. The Swami explains so poignantly. Mother saw the whole world in the ocean of her own self. She saw all jivas as individual waves arising, playing for a time, then dissolving back into the ocean, which she was. This whole world existed in the ocean of her own consciousness, an impersonal vision of her reality. and led to an intensely personal relationship without attachment with each person and everything, each wave within her own being. Just as Ashtabhakra, who revealed, I see myself in everything, from Brahma down to a blade of grass. Sarada Devi saw the same divine consciousness which she was in ordinary people, as well as in animals, and yes, even in objects. When villagers were worshiping the village goddess Shashti under a tree with cymbals, drums, and shouting, Keter was bothered by it and shouted at them, be quiet. Sarada Devi said, Keter, I am indeed in all. Why do you get irritated? I am indeed in all. A similar incident occurred in Sri Ramakrishna's life with Totapuri, his Vedanta guru, when a worker took the coal from his Duni fire to light his chilam. Totapuri erupted in anger. You say Brahman alone is real, and yet Brahman has come to take Brahman, to light Brahman, and so why do you get angry? Sri Ramakrishna told him. Mother, who was one with divine consciousness in her own being, saw others as waves emanating from that same consciousness. For example, Radu had a cat that Holy Mother took care of. But Brahmachari Gyan, her attendant, hated the cat and used to beat it. But when Sarada Devi was preparing to go to Calcutta, she instructed Gyan, you should cook rice for the cat and feed it so it won't go to the neighbors in search of food. Then she said, look, Gyan, don't beat the cat, for I exist even in the cat. For I exist even in the cat. Sarada Devi's expression of Advaita was her motherhood, viewing all beings as her children, or from her experience, as waves emanating from her being, the ocean of pure consciousness. An old woman, 60 years old, was sweeping Mother's courtyard, and when she was through with her service, she threw the broom carelessly into a corner. And Sarada Devi said, the broom serves us so well, even it deserves respect. You go and salute the broom and put it carefully in its proper place. It deserves respect. Mother experienced that she is in all beings and she is in everything. And that is what the knowledge of Advaita is. So through her motherhood of God, Holy Mother also demonstrated a unique expression of Advaita. The two are not separate. She as the motherhood of God and also as an Advaitin of a high order. Brahmachari Dugan was sitting on the veranda of Sarada Devi's house in Jairambati, and a beggar came calling for alms. Mother, though she could give, then said to herself in such a sweet voice, I can't finish my duties, even though I am working through innumerable hands. Even though I am working through innumerable hands. Dugan looked up at Holy Mother as she bent over with one hand on her knee as she held the broom, saying, look at the fun. I have only two hands, and here I speak of having infinite hands. In this way, she would veil her true nature. In this connection, Swami Vivekananda revealed this vision of Advaita in his poem, The Living God. He who is in you and outside you, he wrote, who works through all hands, who walks on all feet, whose body are all ye, him worship and break all other idols. He who is at once the high and low, the sinner and the saint, both God and worm, him worship, visible, knowable, real, omnipresent, and break all other idols. And in Vivekananda's lecture on the Atman, delivered in America, he said, "It is I who am working through an infinite number of hands. How can I be inactive? It is I who am living the life of the whole universe. Where is death for me?" Yes, infinite hands, may be because she, Holy Mother, was the mother of the universe. But it is also an expression of her advaitic experience, and such a high level of experience, a testament of her spiritual power. This is yet another non-dual face of God the Mother. How does this relate to us? Swami Saradananda once told Swami Vishweshwarananda, the tantric awakening of the Kundalini is in the Vedic mantra Purnamada Purnamidam. Filled full with Brahman are the things we see. Filled full with Brahman are the things we see not. This is both an axiomatic statement and a spiritual practice. The devotee accepts Sri Ramakrishna or Sri Sarada Devi as their Ishta, as their object of meditation, and they want to know everything about their beloved. When meditating on Sri Ramakrishna's form or Sri Sarada Devi's form, know that theirs is a non-dual state of consciousness, which their form represents. It is one of many states of consciousness emanating from both of their forms. They are two sides of the same coin. When we accept the Guru Parampara, Guru lineage in the Ramakrishna tradition, we become recipients of our father's wealth and our mother's wealth. Their realizations become our treasures, our inheritance. By exploring the inner realm of Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Sarada Devi, or any world teacher, we receive their darshan and yearning to attain through their grace the divine sight to see this world as it truly is. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us all.